Some interesting things came about from the State of Play, which featured Horizon Forbidden West, which I thought was absolutely phenomenal. I actually did a video on it. I just think that they nailed it. They did what they had to do. Obviously, the game is still going to be in somewhat of an early capacity. We don't know when that build might have been from, but technically the game is supposed to come out sometime this year. Could come out in November. Who knows? But if that's the case, they've got time to kind of work on it. And I thought overall they did a fantastic job with bringing this game to the forefront and kind of improving upon the sections that they really needed to. And by doing that, I thought that they really kind of exposed some really kind of interesting things to talk about. Now, the talking points weren't all positive, obviously. So this is what happens when a company has exclusive games the way that Sony does. So you have a situation where they just come off Returnal, and that's doing well. Then they're having Ratchet and Clank in coming out in a couple of weeks, and everybody's excited about that. And then before that even comes out, they show off Horizon Forbidden West, which looks even more amazing. Like, it's like hit after hit after hit. And then you have the other side where they're looking a little bit jealous, and they're seeing that they haven't really have anything in terms to play. And so you get it. So they look for these narratives to sort of kind of talk up and to talk about, and like out of the blue, like they leech on to like the negativity just out of the blue. But I wanted to get into that and see what you guys thought. What's up, everybody? Crapgamer with Crapgamer Reviews with another video. Ladies and gentlemen, strap in because it's going to be a good show. I can promise you that. Now, anyway, I thought this was absolutely beautiful. You're seeing some of it here now. Looks great. Now, here's the thing. They showcased this game at 30 frames per second. Obviously, that's going to be the version that's going to look the best. That's how it is with any game. Any game that has options for, frame rate or resolution, you're going to see a bit of a difference when you do 30, because at 30, it's going to allow you to do more of, the lush environments and the graphical capabilities and things like that. And then if you do, like, the actual high frame rate, then there's going to be, obviously a little bit less than that. You want to showcase these as best you can. Now, the interesting thing is Xbox fanboys were running with this whole 30 frames per second narrative, not realizing that there's not a single game after the Watch Dogs Legions patch from current gen that runs at 30 only on the PS5. Everything is running at least 60. Or at least has the option for 60. So the interesting thing is, I can remember when Sony showcased the PlayStation 5 reveal last year, and they showcased all the games, Demon Souls and Sackboy, and all these games, Ratchet and Clank. They did it back then as well. Everybody swore up and down, even Digital Foundry, that the games were 30 frames per second because they showed them off at 30 frames per second. But if you think about it, you want to show your games off in the best possible way, and having a mode that's going to offer more in terms of graphically appealing, especially with a game like Horizon, which is more of a cinematic experience, but it's also a cross-gen game, which means that it's going to run on the PS4 and the PS4 Pro. Now, Digital Foundry had previously spoke that any game that's capable of running on a PS4 or PS4 Pro at 30 is more than capable of doing 60 on current gen hardware. They said the same thing about the Xbox, right? Any game that was running 30 frames on an Xbox One could run theoretically easy 60 frames on Xbox Series X. So those that are out there going, oh, well, it's definitely not, and then I saw people kind of jump to the conclusion that it would be 1080p. Look, we don't really know, but what I do know is Spider-Man Miles Morales is a cross-gen game. Yes, I don't like cross-gen, but it looks absolutely incredible on the PlayStation 5. There's 3 different modes that you can choose from. I personally love the 1440p 60 frames with ray tracing. That right there is like the sweet spot. It looks great. To me, it looks absolutely fantastic. I actually think that it looks almost indistinguishable from the 4K 30. So yeah, they did a really good job with it. And if they can do that with Spider-Man Miles Morales, I think that Guerrilla Games can definitely do something similar at a 1440 60 frames with Horizon Forbidden West. So people are really just kind of talking out of their behinds with this. I think that, it's going to be a situation where they're going to look dumb. But I'm not really the type of person that goes around saving everybody's tweets and stuff like this, because, I find that to be a little distasteful, kind of odd at times. But, again, why would anybody bet against them doing a performance mode when literally every first party game on PlayStation 5 has a performance mode? There's no games that are only 30 frames per second. In fact, of the new consoles, the only console with a 30 frames per second game this gen is Xbox. Coincidentally, the only quote-unquote exclusive they have, the Medium, which runs 30 frames per second, 900p on the Xbox, and I believe it runs even significantly lower on the Series S, something like I believe, what is it, like 600p it gets down to or something. So yeah, it's some ridiculous kind of level, but yeah, so there is a huge stark contrast there. And then the other thing that I thought was interesting was the fact that a lot of people were talking about how these games look different or whatever. There's an agenda or whatever. Look, everybody that knows me knows that I'm not like a quote unquote woke person or whatever like that. I don't care about that. Like, people can be people. I don't mind it. It is what it is. But for me personally, I don't like things being drastically sort of changed to alter just to suit a certain group or person or individual. You know what I mean? Like, for me, I always felt like the switchover with Gears of War to Kate was more of that situation. And I enjoyed The Last of Us 2, and people are surprised to hear that. They're like, well, didn't you feel like that was some kind of woke thing? And to be honest with you, I didn't feel that way. Just from playing through it, I didn't feel that way at all. But, if somebody, I think that a lot of people are just so anti-something or other that they look for a reason. And now that we see Aloy and that she looks a little bit different in one particular instance, like it's one real photo that looks a little bit different, and I personally don't think it's like a big deal or anything like that. They're video game characters, right? If you look at Nathan Drake from Uncharted 3 to Uncharted 4, it's a huge difference, right? We're looking at a console generation change. So I do think that there's sort of this huge difference going on there, and I think people are just kind of losing their minds because this is a game that really is showcased well, and it's another game coming to PS5 this year, and it's so we don't really know what's going on with the Xbox Series X game situation, right? We're not really sure. There's all kinds of rumors kind of floating around and stuff like that. So it's very interesting to sort of see people kind of jump and go to this and go, hey, this is really weird that she has chubby cheeks or something like I never got that. It's a video game character, and I didn't see the Xbox fans mention, when Kate went from being like a kind of a slender person to looking drastically kind of different in the next Gears of War. I mean, at the end of the day, people obviously are gonna gravitate towards the thing that they prefer the most or whatever, but you got to just make sure that it's kind of even, or at least try to appear as fair as possible. And clearly that's not the case when people don't even talk about that, but they want to talk about this. It's like, like, she looks pretty much the same to me. There was one picture in particular that looked like, how sometimes you open the camera, the wrong facing camera on your phone, and you get that like double chin kind of thing. Like, it didn't look bad or anything like that. And I guess there's no such thing as bad publicity. So I mean, Microsoft and your Sony's probably not too upset about it, or Guerrilla Games or whatever, because their game trended for 2 days straight. But it is one of those things where we kind of look at this and we go, okay, well, what are we at? Where are we at as gamers when this is something that we're talking about? So, for me personally, I felt it to be a little bit distasteful, and, I just think that it's just one of those things that, hopefully people kind of move on from pretty quickly, because I just don't think it's worth talking about. That game looks absolutely amazing, and, I think that it's going to be incredible to see how that's going to work out long term. You know what I mean? Like, I think that this game is just one of those games that's going to really push the console sales of the PlayStation 5. And even though it's on the PS4, I think it's going to be a situation like I think it's really going to be a great situation, much the way that Miles Morales did. I think people are going to wait to pick up with their PS5, and I think that that they're going to pick this game up with their PS5. So I think it looks great. I think it's probably going to play great. It looks like they fixed the issues that most people had with it. I just think that a lot of people are kind of going out of line a little bit. You know what I mean? But I want to hear what you guys think, because that's what's most important. Sound off, rate, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Rack 'em up. Game on, my friends. Game on. Crapgamer out.